general debate on the plight of out-of-school children in Nigeria. The Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, is seated and presiding over today's sitting. He's taking announcements. He's mentioned the schools that have been invited to participate in this special session. Over now to plenary.
You're very welcome. They're right up there from Ghana. Okay, I believe Honorable Azubogu has invited, and they are here with us, students from Masters Vessel Seminary School in Nnewi South, Anambra State. Are they here? You're welcome. Honorable colleagues, today is a day for a special session on out-of-school children, which I believe is something of concern to every member of this House. And we have decided and resolved to dedicate this day, to give it the importance that it deserves. And that will be the only item on today's order paper, on today's agenda in the House. We're hopeful that from the robust debate that we'll have today, we'll come up with resolutions that will culminate, hopefully, in a major public hearing. That public hearing will not be conducted by any committee. The public hearing will be a public hearing, perhaps for the first time, conducted by the Committee of the Whole. That is, the whole House will be part of the public hearing, whatever resolution we reach. So I'll just give my opening remarks, and then we'll move on for today's proceedings. Good morning, honorable colleagues. I welcome you all to this special plenary session of the House, and I thank you for all being here today. We have come here today to consider the matter of the millions of children in our country who are out of school, and who, as a result, are denied their fundamental right to receive the training and skills acquisition opportunities that will allow them to have better lives than their parents before them and provide a better future for their offspring. We are here to consider the failures of policy development and implementation, the vagaries of culture and religion that have contributed to the plight of these young people. We are here to advance solutions to this problem. We are here to act in the best interest of our people by ensuring that the solutions presented here today are formulated in actionable policy plans to be implemented diligently and with haste. This is a commitment that we made in our legislative agenda, and we will live up to this and all other commitments which we have freely made before God and the Nigerian people who have chosen us to represent them here in this hallowed chamber. Over the last 20 years, the government of the Federal Republic Educational Reform that has resulted in the allocation of significant sums of money to fund basic education access in our country. These reforms have been intended mostly to address the availability gap by building new schools and providing teachers in previously underserved areas. Honorable colleagues, can we all be seated? This is a very special session and it's very important. Honorable, please, can you take your seat?
Honorable Ustaz, take your seat, please. Yusuf Gabdi, take your seat.
These investments have not yielded the desired outcomes. In too many parts of the country, the school attendance rate has not improved, and the quality of education being received by those who enroll and attend still falls far short of our most fundamental expectations. We must consider that perhaps the time for a massive course correction has come. That process of course correction must begin first with a critical assessment of everything we have done so far, so that we can objectively determine for ourselves what works and what doesn't, what can be learned from reform's efforts, and what is necessary to ensure that no Nigerian child born in this age will ever be denied the benefits of an empowering education. Let no one be left in any doubt. We will not eradicate poverty from our land or meet the challenges of insecurity. We cannot defeat ignorance and strife or attract foreign investment in significant numbers to make a substantial economic difference until we have ensured that all our children, for all our people, access to a modern education that empowers them to participate fully in the 21st century knowledge economy. We have spent the past two decades building schools, and it has not been enough. Now is the time to lift our ambitions to the consideration of bigger things and begin to build capacity for the future survival of our nation. The complex interconnectivity of modern life means that we cannot be satisfied with merely shoving more children into failing and failed school systems, just so we can maintain the appearance of education access. We must aim for better. An enlightened education gives hope and the confidence that through the studied application of the human mind and human ability, individuals can remake their existence and make their world better. Education excellence calls for ongoing curriculum reform and a broad embrace of technology in our schools. At the earliest possible stage of their education, we must begin to equip our young people with the skills they need to thrive in the technocentric new world. It's not enough to build schools if we cannot also provide properly trained, suitably remunerated, and passionately motivated teachers. We have a crisis of not enough teachers across the country today. A crisis so severe that many of the schools we have built are at a risk of becoming empty monuments. This crisis requires of us that we embrace unorthodox thinking and options we never considered before. It is in that spirit that I will seek legislation to amend the National Youth Service Act to allow the court to establish a Teaching for Nigeria pathway, which will allow for the identification, recruitment, and deployment of willing, capable, and promising young Nigerians to serve as teachers in underserved areas during their service year and for a number of years after, in exchange for a federal government commitment to fund their postgraduate education in addition to whatever allowances they might receive during their deployment. Education excellence also calls for administrative accountability and a fair admissions process across the board. We cannot continue to relegate huge swaths of our national population to second-class citizenship through the operation of an affirmative action system that is rooted in outdated ideas about our nationhood. Lifting our to the consideration of bigger things requires of us that we commit ourselves to a determined and sustained effort to confront the cultural and religious beliefs and practices that influence decisions about education. A child's gender should never determine whether they get an education or not. This should no longer be a controversial position to take. Our Constitution guarantees all our children a right to basic education. We must now act to live up to that obligation. All our nation's children are God's children, and we owe to each of them the same responsibilities regardless of their gender, the location, or circumstances of their birth. If we do nothing else today, let us all take advantage of this special session to tell ourselves the reality so that we may liberate ourselves from the shackles of limited thought and through our collective efforts achieve the vision of a nation where no child is left behind, where no child is forgotten, and all God's children have the opportunity to fulfill the highest achievements of which they are inherently capable. That is the challenge. We intend to meet it. Shortly, we will view a documentary on our nation's millions of out-of-school children. This is intended to serve as a visual and shocking reminder of why we are gathered here today. Afterwards, I will invite Honorable Wunmi Ogunlola, who will act on my behalf, to bring a motion under the purview of Order 8, Rule 4, matters of urgent public importance, so that the House may commence debate on this subject matter and take other actions as it may deem fit. Honorable colleagues, this is the time for truth-telling, but it is not an occasion for finger-pointing. This is not an arena for trafficking or destructive stereotypes or invitation to pander to the base instincts that have too often in the past stood in the way of development and progress in our national life. Truth-telling is an act of love and respect, love of country and respect for one another. Let all the submissions we make today be grounded in these eternal ideals. I thank you all most graciously for your presence here today. God bless you all, and God bless our Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I think we'll just have a 10-minute documentary to remind us of why we're here today.
In today's 21st century knowledge-based economy, education is the silver bullet that raises millions out of poverty and offers them a chance to live full lives of personal achievement and contribution to the common good. Education is empowerment. All over the world, there is a collective recognition that the failure to educate young people and prepare them to participate in this new economy is a recipe for disaster. According to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, Nigeria has the highest number of out-of-school children in the world. 13,200,000 children between 6 and 11 years are not currently enrolled in any formal education or academic pursuit. In some cities, you will find many of these children employed as domestic servants. Others, particularly in the rural areas, are employed as farmhands and laborers. Many more of these children roam the streets as beggars and petty hawkers, navigating risks that are beyond the comprehension of the rest of us. These children exist in the margins, deprived of the opportunity to gain an education that gives them a chance to rise beyond the circumstances of their birth towards a bright future of productive participation in the 21st century knowledge-based economy. Over the last 2 decades, the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has appropriated and expended huge sums to address the challenge of out-of-school children in the country. The number of out-of-school children in Nigeria paints an alarming picture, and the reality of millions of young people with no useful skills, limited parental supervision, and no protection from the state represents a clear and present danger. Available research indicates several remote factors that contribute to the high rate of out-of-school children in the country. Factors such as economic and household factors, cultural and religious factors, and school-level factors. In many parts of the southeast, southwest, and the Niger Delta, young male children are withdrawn from school and sent to learn a trade to support the family, whilst formal education is left to the girl child, as education is considered women's business. The preference for Almajiri education in the north is a significant contributor to the high number of out-of-school children in Nigeria. The Almajiri system is an ancient practice of Quranic education that has in recent times become subject to abuse. Young boys placed in the care of scholars to learn are now left on the streets of major cities to fend for themselves, where they often end up becoming victims and perpetrators of crime. Another issue of concern is the high number of internally displaced persons in the country, many of whom are children. The circumstances that cause children to be out of school often also mean that they do not have any adult supervision over the use of their time. This leaves them at the mercy of those who may wish to exploit them. Young people on the streets are being recruited by criminal gangs to participate in criminal activities ranging from petty street crimes to more serious and violent endeavors. By failing to ensure that these children are in school, we are in effect raising a generation of victims and victimizers, potential criminals, and insurgents. Already, the manifestations of the worst possibilities are with us, and they promise to become even more severe with time. We are a nation at risk, and this moment calls for determined and urgent action. We have a limited window of opportunity to plot a new course for the future, to build that future for our children, and to deliver our country from an avoidable tragedy that threatens to consume us all.
Honorable colleagues, now is the time to act. I will now call on Honorable Wumi Ogunlola to move the motion of urgent public importance.
Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Fellow distinguished honorable members, I am Honorable Omowumi Ogunlola. I'm representing all the people of Ijero, Ekiti West, and Efon. I'm from Ekiti State. I rise to move the motion of urgent public importance on the need for the House to deliberate on the matter of the millions of out-of-school children in Nigeria and to consider lasting solutions to save. I so moved, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Dederi, can you please second the motion? Honorable Dederi, can you second the motion?
My name is Honorable Haruna Isa Dederi. I represent Kara Erogo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Kano State. and I rise to second the motion moved by my honorable colleague. I so second. Thank you, sir.
Honorable colleagues, motion moved by Honorable Oglola, seconded by Honorable Dedere. Those in support that this motion is urgent to be enough to be taken down, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Oglola.
Mr. Speaker, fellow honorable members, once again, I am Omowumi Olubunmi Ogunlola. I'm representing all the good people of Ijero, Ekiti West, Efon. I'm from Ijero, Ekiti. Again, the motion is on urgent public importance on the need for the House to deliberate on the matter of the millions of out-of-school children in Nigeria and to consider lasting solutions. The House notes that education is a source of knowledge which changes our immediate environment and the world in general into something better, as education can be used to uplift or elevate the social and economic conditions in our society. Also notes that the importance of education can be likened to oxygen, to the extent that a nation with a large number of our people lacking quality education is akin to a nation without life, as education is the surest means of raising millions of people out of poverty and offering them a chance to live full lives of personal achievement in the 21st century knowledge economy. Further notes that the figures of out-of-school children in Nigeria, as provided by the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, and the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, is evidence of a national crisis of such severe proportions that unless urgent action is taken, we are at risk of a lost of young people. Disturbed that after years of expensive interventions by the federal government of Nigeria, we have not achieved any sustained reduction in these statistics, and the possibility still exists that numbers will get worse in the coming years. Also disturbed that across the country, many of our children who are supposed to be in school are roaming the streets as beggars and petty hawkers. Others are employed in menial roles, while others become victims and perpetrators of crime. Certain that millions of these children will age out of the criteria for consideration as children without being equipped with the basic communication and arithmetic skills they need to pursue further education opportunities or to find and keep meaningful employment, and will be forgotten, left to fend for themselves in a difficult marketplace, with the obvious resultant effect being youth restiveness, leading to more security challenges for the country. Aware that the numbers of out-of-school children, including those under the Almajiri system, as well as others who, due to economic, cultural, and social factors, including refugee status, are unable to take advantage of the educational opportunities currently available.
This is the network service of the
Thank you very much. Please may go back to your seats. For each of those to yanzu an riga an bada sarkin noma na wannan shekara da kuma mu ce ita ma gimbiya ko mu ce da kariya ta noma ita na wannan shekara ita kuma an ba su kyaututtukan su wanda suka ga hannun mai girma shugaban kasa. Now I will now allow my co-presenter to continue with English version. Thank you very much. At this juncture, Your Excellency, President, the man with zero tolerance for corruption, the man who has so far recovered within a very short period huge sums of money from corrupt officials.